Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We are super excited for a great event that's coming up this weekend. It's called Voices Against Cancer. It's happening in Sioux Falls this Saturday at the Washington Pavilion. And one of the many very familiar voices that you are going to see, and you're going to hear right now, but you're going to see him this weekend, Wally Wingert. Wally, how are you?
It's the Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Well,
yeah. Hi, how's it going?
It's growing great. I'm excited to chat with you. Now, there's a lot of folks that know that you lived in Sioux Falls. You were a radio personality in Sioux Falls, but we got a lot of new people moving here all the time, so there's probably a few people that don't know that. Let's talk about that. When were you in the Sioux Falls market doing radio?
My radio days in Sioux Falls were about 1979. Yeah, the spring of 1970. No, that's not true. The fall of 1978, I worked at a country station there, and then moved to a rock station in the spring of 79, and was there through the time that I moved in 1987 to Los Angeles. So, yeah, my radio names changed from time to time. I was Dave Wallace when I was doing country radio. I was Dennis Jimenez when I was doing rock and roll radio, and then I was Wally Wingert for a time. So, because, Wally Wingert doesn't really exactly sound like a legitimate name either. It sounds like a radio name. So I said, just use that name. So, Big John Small, that's the greatest radio name. Big John Small, in the morning, sunny 93.3.
And the best part is
kind of name you could just, as a voice actor, you can just kind of really bite into.
And the best part is that's my real name. So people would always say, "What's your real name?" And I'm like, "No, my name is John Small." And I've been a fat kid forever, so I've always been Big John Small. But now, when you would change your name for different stations, was it hard to remember? Did you ever say the wrong name when you got on a new channel somewhere?
I did, yeah, and I would say the wrong call letters too occasionally. And strangely enough, how long have you been in radio, John?
Since 1994.
Okay, you're going to have, as you get older, you're going to have what's called radio nightmares. I still have at least about one a week where you can't read any of the writing on the news copy. You don't have any news copy. You don't know what the weather is. You don't have a song queued up. Of course, in the days of, carts and we're talking about radio stuff here and actual records that you would play and different things, that was a real issue. Now with the computer will save you basically and have your back. So it's kind of cool. But back in the old days, if you didn't have a song queued up and you were talking to some hot babe on the phone, there was dead air, baby. And it was not pretty when the boss came calling.
Now, you've had the opportunity to do some amazing things. Like right when we started doing the program here, you were doing the Tonight Show with Jay Leno voice because that was you. You did that. But you've had the chance to be the voice of a bunch of different characters and do some really wild and crazy things. How did that whole adventure get started from going on the radio in Sioux Falls, South Dakota to doing all the cool things that you're doing now?
Well, ever since I started in radio when I was 16, I always did character voices in my show. I would interview Darth Vader and Yoda and Santa Claus, but it would be all me. So I would pre-record a lot of this stuff and just hit the button and have the scripted response ready. So I've always done character voices, even since when I was a kid. I learned how to do the Sesame Street voices, all the Muppets and everything, Ernie and Bert and Kermit the Frog, all those voices. So I've always done character voices. So when I moved here in '87 to be an actor on camera, because you're like, I'm going to move to LA and be an actor. I quickly fell out of love with on-camera acting because there was no imagination in it. You walked into an audition, and you could tell on their face that they've already made up their mind, and you haven't even auditioned yet, just based on the way you look. And I didn't want that. It's like you haven't even heard me act yet. What are you
exactly.
making a judgment for already? But then my friend told me about a voiceover agency that he had worked at one summer as an apprentice. And he said, I'll get you, a meeting over there if you can get a tape together. I said, I'm in radio. I can cut anything together. That's easy. So I cut a tape together and started with this voiceover agency, and then went to another voice agency and another one, started building up the career. And I said, well, this is much more fun than on-camera acting.
Oh, yeah.
In the course of one day, you can walk into this studio and be a talking trash can and a squirrel and a talking, sponge and an old man and a teenager and, any number of characters. And then you go over to the E! Entertainment Television, and then you narrate a true Hollywood story about Andy Kaufman. And then you're going to do later a commercial about Black & Decker Pivot Driver. Yeah. So it's a full day. And I'm like, this really appeals to my multiple personality syndrome. I really like to be a bunch of different people. As opposed to doing like an on-camera thing where you're the same character for 6-7 seasons on a TV show, which would kind of get probably boring.
Oh, yeah.
But I love the world of voice. I fell in love with it right away.
Now, you were in Sioux Falls just a short while ago for SuperCon. I had a chance to meet you at that event, and now you're going to be in Sioux Falls this weekend for a really cool thing. First event called Voices Against Cancer. When you come to town and get to come and be a part of this, do you have quite a few people who come up and say, hey, I remember you from this station?
Well, it is fun because they do, but because they say, oh, this is Wally, he was from Sioux Falls. Well, they think I still live there. So they look at my table of characters that I've voiced throughout my 30-plus year career, and they go, oh, so did you draw these or what? I'm like, no, I voiced them. Oh, you imitate them? No, I voiced them. Oh, but how do you do that living in Sioux Falls? I don't live in Sioux Falls. If people don't really understand the concept that I moved from Sioux Falls in '87, I got into the industry, and I'm back, to do this. But, God bless them. I just tell them kind of how the whole thing works, and I actually voiced these characters on Nickelodeon, on Disney, and all these other. Oh, okay, that's really cool. But some people do come up, and some people I haven't seen in literally 40 years that I used to see hanging out at the old radio station. So it's pretty cool. And Dr. Lou George and I became friends several years ago, and I said, Doc, we should do something in Sioux Falls with some voice actors. Let's put something together. And he said, on one condition, that we can do it for charity.
Yeah.
I said, let's do it.
I love
so
it.
We
and
were
it's
supposed. Yep.
I say I love it, and it's coming up this weekend, which is really cool. It's this Saturday, so if people want to come out and meet you and a bunch of other people, they can do it this Saturday in Sioux Falls.
Absolutely. And Dr. George, we tried to do this in 2020, and then the world melted down, and then 2021 wasn't quite there yet. So 2 years later, it's been literally 2 years in the making.
Yeah.
Voices Against Cancer. It's the kind of thing that's really shouted from the rooftops, because we have an amazing group of people that they've formulated and compiled to come to this event. That now, these are not people in costumes. These are actual Hollywood actors who are coming to Sioux Falls to sign autographs. These are the people who voice your favorite cartoons and who star in your favorite shows. Emily Swallow, Miley Flanagan, my good friend, who's the voice of Naruto for many, many seasons. George Newbern, the voice of Superman. We got Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who's played both my sister and my girlfriend in many different shows, and my wife at one point.
Hopefully not all at the same time. That's kind of weird.
Not all at the same time. No, she was the Wasp and Janet Van Dyne in the Earth's Mightiest Heroes Avengers series, and I was, of course, Hank Pym. Frank Welker, the greatest living voice actor, whose voice like everything is coming. Peter Cullen, Optimus Prime, and Eeyore. Let's see, Phil Lamar is coming, good friend of mine, who's the Green Lantern and Samurai Jack. And we've done stuff on Family Guy together, and all kinds of people. It's going to be, and now these people are actually in person.
Yeah.
So you can actually go up, say hi to them, and it's actual Hollywood voice actors coming to Sioux Falls this weekend, folks, this Saturday for one day only. And all the proceeds, of course, go to the St. Baldrick's Foundation to fight children's cancer.
I love it.
We're all very fired up about it. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see you again this weekend, sir. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll see you Saturday.
Again, Wally Wingert. Join us this Saturday, Voices Against Cancer. All of the information online at voicesagainstcancer.org.